I was going to preach this morning to the woman. I thought, I think I'm going to leave that well alone right now. I know when I'm beat, and I just got beat. I was listening to our dear sister talking, and it was moving and stirring. And as she spoke about mothers, one of the saddest things I've ever witnessed in my life is when I go to an orphanage on Mother's Day in Moldova. And a little girl will stand up and recite a poem to her mom. And she doesn't have one. And I'll bet you every one of these girls could recite that poem that they've been taught in the orphanage. And they've never had a mom. One of the girls here today, that wasn't here the last time, her mom didn't want her anymore and dropped her off in a bus station. And she's never seen her again. When she's a little girl. One of the girls here this morning was born to a family, and both of them died. And she was adopted the second time, and both of them died. And she had a little brother, and she had to give him away before she could come to our house. Love your moms. My mom is 88 years of age in Scotland, and the most amazing woman I've ever met in my life. My dad was preaching, and he was the preacher, and he was my hero. My mom made my dad my hero. We were broke all the time. Never. Here's a story. I'll tell you one story about my mother, and then I'm done, okay? Because I'll be crying, and you'll be crying all morning. I'll ruin all the girls' mascara in here, and I won't be very popular. You know how, I don't know how it is in America, but in Scotland when I was growing up, there was fads that went through the school. And one of the fads that happened in our school was we need rabbits. All the kids got a rabbit for some crazy reason. And I said to my mom, I said, all my pals are getting rabbits. I want a rabbit. And she looked at me and she says, we can't get a rabbit. My dad was preaching in Ireland for 3 weeks. And I was really upset and kind of ashamed when all my friends started having the rabbits as their pets. And I came home from school, went to bed one night, and I woke up in the morning, and I heard this scratching. And I opened my eyes, and there was a box at the foot of my bed, and I opened the box. And there was a fawn-colored beige and white rabbit, the most beautiful rabbit I've ever seen. And my dad, while in Ireland, had been given a rabbit for preaching. Truth. Honest to God. And I ran downstairs with the rabbit. I says, Mom, look what's happened. And she says, don't you ever doubt that God can't meet your need. So I went back upstairs, put the rabbit in the box, went to school, and during the day at school figured out that I didn't have a hutch for my rabbit. So I came home and I says at lunch, and I says, Mom, we've got to get a hutch for my rabbit. And my mom says, son, if I couldn't get you a rabbit, I can't buy you a hutch. And I threw a fit, stomped out. Went home that evening, didn't talk to her, wouldn't eat, stayed in my room, mad, fell asleep, and the next morning woke up late. Usually she woke me up and she didn't, and I woke up and was late, and I grabbed my clothes and ran down to the kitchen. And our kitchen had a glass door, and as I came down the last 4 steps into the kitchen, I saw her through the glass, just the opaque glass, but I knew she was there. So I opened the door, and she was lying on the table, her head in her hands. And on the table was a hutch that she'd got an old tea box, and all night long, with no tools, just the square back of an axe. and little wee pin nails, and she'd beat our fingers until they were bleeding. And she'd bent this chicken wire and hit the nail and bent the nail over all around, and never slept all night. And I began to cry. And I said, "Oh, Mom, I'm so sorry." And she looked at me and she says, "Never again, ever tell me that we have had lack, because your dad preaches the gospel. Because what he does is more important than anyone else in this world." My rabbit hutch story. Okay, stop this nonsense, okay? Because I got a million other ones I can tell you. It ain't funny, honest to goodness. But I want to honor every one of the moms here today. My mother told me growing up, the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. And she put in my heart a desire to serve God, and kept me. I don't know how she did it, but she kept me hot all the time, wanting to serve God. I wanted to sing for him. I wanted to sing in church. I wanted to travel with my dad. I was passionate all the time, and she was able to keep me on the boil, as it were, and watched me grow, and then had to give me away to the road months and months and months at a time. And I wouldn't see her for 10 months because I'd be traveling with my dad nonstop. Just as a young boy, I left school when I was 14, actually 13. My dad took me out of school, and I sang and played the accordion, and he preached. And we came to America, and we'd be gone from February till getting home just in time for Christmas. And she would be waiting home with my little brother and my little sister. Never complained, never once complained, and made what we were doing to the rest of the family the most heroic thing on earth. So I salute my mom. Her name is Wendy. And if you go to my Facebook page today, you may see a little salute I did for her, and it may bless your heart. Well, anyway, can we move away from mothers right now? Is there any tissues in this church? What kind of church is this? I need a box of tissues. Thank you, Valentina. You are so sweet. Dear Lord, my nose I'm going to drown. We are so excited to be back amongst you. We are the Orphan's hands. 25 years ago, I was in my house in Montgomery. I live in Alabama, a Scotsman living in Alabama, go figure. And my phone rang. It was my dad calling me from Scotland. And he said that our baby's dying. And that one phone call changed my life. He forced me to go. He made me go. And I walked in an orphanage. And saw brokenness and pain. Little boys and girls standing half naked, some of them, starving to death. In the wintertime, they froze, many to death. Never ate properly, and I'd never seen anything. By this time, our ministry in America had become successful. I was on TV all the time. I'd sold a book that had sold 300,000 copies. I had enough padding in my life that I could live easy, just take services when I wanted to preach, and travel when I wanted to travel, and just kind of relax. I was 37 years of age, and all of the boxes of my life had been ticked until I walked in an orphanage in Timișoara, Romania, and it changed my life forever. I hope something happens in your life that changes your life forever. I hope to God this church comes across something that so transforms your thought processes that nothing that you thought before makes sense, and everything has to be recalibrated to the destiny and the calling of God. Don't waste your life. I cannot believe this. I was 62 2 weeks ago. It's a crime against humanity. Where am I 60? I feel like I'm 18 years of age. I don't believe that I'm 62, but my birth certificate says I'm 62. And my wife says the pictures I'm taking now look like I'm 62. I don't look like I'm... Tell me I don't look like I'm 62. Please, I'm begging you. Lie. I don't care. Tell a lie in church. Just... God will forgive you. What I'm saying is, guys, listen to me. You've only one life. It will soon be past. And only what you've done for Jesus. I don't care if you live in the biggest house of this town and drive the nicest car. If that's all your life is, it's a small world. Because there are bigger houses and better cars. But if you are caught up in the purpose of God to reach out to those that have nothing and say, we will lift you up and carry you, you are the closest to the heart of God you have ever been. His heart is for the orphan and the missionary, for the widow. That's where his heart is. If you want to know the will of God, that's the will of God. Everything else is just stuff. And I am so thrilled. Where are you at, Andrew? I don't know if I did this before. Come up here just 1 second. I walked in this orphanage and I saw a wee boy standing in a crib, half naked, covered in his own waste, his hair all matted and pus all around the top of his head. And the Holy Ghost said, that's your son. And I picked him out of a crib and spoke in Romanian, in English, and I said, I don't know who you are, but you are mine. I don't care what it costs. I will be back for you. And that was in February, and in October I was back. And the miracle is this, that we managed to adopt him in 3 weeks, start to finish. And we took him back. We took him back from Romania and watched him begin to grow. And as he grew, the Holy Ghost kept saying to me, what about those that have no mom and have no dad? So they needed beds, so I went back and got them new beds, and they had no toilets. They made them sit on coffee cans. And all their bottoms were cut with the rim of the coffee can. And I'd put in toilets, and then they needed a roof fixing, and then they needed this done. I kept going back one more time and one more time. And I've just come back for my 174th time. And 3 million miles on Delta Airlines to prove it. But this young man kept me going back. And if he never did anything else but keep me going back, a lot of lives have been saved because of that. And I love him. Get out of here. And I have. And where's Philip at? Where's my oldest son? Come up here, Phil, will you please? This is my oldest son. He has got 4 of the most perfect, gorgeous kids you've ever. Anyone see my Facebook and talk about my little minion? This is his dad. This is my minion's dad. If you'll go on Facebook, on my Facebook page, you'll see what I'm talking about. This is my oldest son. We travel. He stays home and minds the store and keeps the ministry going and does all the video and media stuff. And I love him. This is all your fault. I know she said you can't. Smack her just once. Just. Oh, Lord. Come on up here, girls, will you please? And don't start. Don't start. 2 of the girls that were here with me last year, I think Ulazana, was it? Who was here last year? Arena and Tanya, I think. You weren't here last year. I don't believe so. No, she wasn't. And they're back in Moldova, back in school. And so when they went back, I called. I says, I need some help. I need some help. And the older girls, the girls that have graduated from school and how now lead the mission work that we have. This is the crazy thing about the orphan's hands. This is the miracle of the orphan's hands. I don't go out and preach the gospel there. They do. They feed the homeless. They hold camps. Every missionary's dream is to replace himself on the mission field. Most times, missions work is only a job for these guys. But to have your kids that were found as orphans and have them lifted up out of despair, and no one ever, all their life, everybody in the school, in their orphanage would say to them, "You're nothing. Your mother doesn't want you. Your father doesn't want you. Nothing plus nothing will always be nothing. You're garbage. Your kids will be back here soon." And they continually drive these kids into the ground. And to watch Grace, never heard English before in their lives until a Scotsman taught them how to speak English. I ask you guys, it's perfect, isn't it, really? You know what I mean? Aren't you glad I don't talk like y'all? You imagine these kids, "Hi, y'all, I'm just glad that Jesus saved me." And help me, Lord Jesus. God. Oh, my Lord. At least when they learn English, any accent they have is a wee bit of Scottish, and at least it sounds at least a little bit interesting. You know, "Hi, y'all. I came from an orphanage and..." Oh, Lord. Am I crazy or what? So this young lady here, her name is Natalia, but Natalia Sahar. Sahar means sugar in the Romanian language, so we just call her Sugar. So if you hear me calling her Sugar, that's the reason why I do, all right? There is no other reason, but that's what her name is in Romanian. In fact, what's cool is when she went to university, the teachers began to call her Sugar. So all through our school, this name stuck with her. And tell them how we met you and what Jesus has done in your life.
Hello, everybody. I never been part of a real family because when I was 7, my father died, and we lived I have a brother, he's 5 years older than me, and one day my mom, she told us that we're the reason that didn't work with our father, and that's why he started to drink. And one day she decided that she doesn't need us anymore in her life, and she took us to a bus station and she left us there. And that day was one of the hardest days of my life, seeing the woman that needs to love you the most not even turning back when I tried to run after her. Me and my brother, we ended up in a orphanage for 9 years. It was very hard living in an orphanage in Moldova for so long. The conditions were very bad, and the teachers will tell us that our mom didn't want us. That's why we ended up there, and all the time the food wasn't good. We always were hungry, and all these years, I was hoping that my mom will change her mind and she will come and she will take us back home. It never happened. And when I finished the orphanage, I didn't have a place where to go. And someone told me about the Cameron family, and I ended up with them. I'm so thankful that I ended up trafficked somewhere like other girls from my orphanage. And I'm so blessed to be part of their family and God's family. And thank you so much for being part of what we do.
When Sugar came to our house, my wife Chrissy, I looked at her and I says, "There's no way this girl will make it." She was so broken. And I says, She won't survive. She did. And how many degrees do you have? She gets embarrassed when I ask, how many degrees do you have?
3.
3 degrees. Listen. I enjoy embarrassing you. That's what fathers get to do. I have a license to embarrass you, okay? How many languages do you speak?
4.
5.
She speaks 5 languages and has 3 degrees. Is that crazy? She's a great singer as well. Do you want to sing something for her?
No.
Oh, she's single. I'm sorry. I thought you said, I'm sorry, Natalie. I thought she's single. I forgot to mention that as well. And this being the older kids, this is called the marriage tour. I'm telling you, we are really praying and believing God. If there's any good young husbands in here, no, any young husband prospects in here, it's your fault. You have no idea. I went to an orphanage, the biggest in the whole country, and the windows were so rotten that you could put your fingers through them. And I asked the director, how can I help? And he put his finger through the wood in his windows. And in that orphanage, we put in 391 windows. Literally saved lives by doing so. The windows are so bad that some of them they were open, and when the snow came, it would snow inside the room. And Nadia and Dasha and Natalie come from this orphanage. And they would sleep 5 to a bed, trying to keep themselves warm with body heat because of the blizzard that was coming in through their windows in the place. And when I finished the 391 windows, it cost $170,000. A church in North Carolina was believing God to build a building. And I came and spoke about this, and the pastor got up and says, they need windows more than we need a new building, and emptied their building fund to save their lives. And when we finished, the director came and says, I will show you something. And he took me out, and there was a park bench with 18 girls on it. You may remember me telling you this last time. 18 kids on a park bench, and he waved his arm across them and all, and he says, they must go. I says, where are they going? He says, they're finished, they're done. I says, what? I don't understand. He says, they are finished. And at 16, a young girl is put on the street from the orphanage, and traffickers get them. And they use them 30 to 50 times a day until they kill them with either use or drugs. And I was in a total panic. We just finished a house. I built a computer room, so proud. I had computers shipped from America, computer desks. And I looked at Chrissy and I says, how many kids can we get in that room? And she looked at me, and the panic on her face. She says, Philip, all we can take is 3 girls. And I looked back across the 18 and looked back at her. I says, tell me. She says, there's no waiting, there's no room, only 3 beds. And I chose 3 girls from that park bench that day and let 15 go away. I chose Nadia, and you'll see her in the white t-shirt sitting on the park bench. And I chose Dasha, leaning forward in the beige or the fawn-colored top. And then I chose Natalie. There are their names, you can see them. And out of 18 girls sitting on a park bench, I chose them. 10 years ago. And they are now the foundation of the ministry. Nadia, I hate this. Nadia goes home to Moldova on Wednesday. A Tuesday or Wednesday. Mom goes to Scotland on Wednesday, and you go on Tuesday.
Wednesday I leave.
You leave Wednesday, so Mom leaves on Tuesday. Unbearable. This girl has a passion for the lost like I've never seen in my life. She has no other thought. She thinks only of what we can do to reach others. She heads up our feeding. In fact, I went in one of the houses, and she and Valentina were cooking. Come up here, Valley. And they were cooking in this great big pot, and I says, what you guys doing? And she says, she's a bit of a bossy boots. Get out, we're busy, Dad. So I'm outside in the studio, I kind of miffed that they kind of put me outside. And I went back in and I says, what are you doing? She says, so eventually I says, are we having a get together with all the houses tonight? We got 6 houses in Moldova. Then I says, are we having what's the deal? She says, no, she says, today we feed the homeless. I says, we feed the homeless? I says, how long have we been feeding the homeless? She says, for 1 year. I says, we have been feeding the homeless for 1 year and you're only telling me now? Yes. That's what you call missions, getting a hold of hearts. And I went out the next day and bought a van, a little Volkswagen, and we built that stainless steel kitchen in the back of it. And they go out to homeless people and feed them and love them and show grace. That's them in the garbage dumps. And I'll tell you, that weather is minus 30 degrees below zero sometimes. And these people are dying, freezing to death. And our kids drive up in our little van and go out and sing to them and dance with them and love them and hug them and show them that there's love left in the world. And this is Dasha. And Dasha has been really busy. She hasn't traveled with us. In fact, I think she's backslidden. Actually, she's hardly been in church because every Sunday when we travel, she stayed behind because she was in Auburn University. And yesterday, she graduated from Auburn University. Isn't that cool? There she is. And tell me what your degree is?
Communications.
Yeah. Well, can you communicate a bit better than communicate? Is one word.
Bachelor's of Arts and Communication.
And you're on the Dean's list as well?
Yes.
And you were magna cum laude?
Magna cum laude. Yes.
Did I say it wrong?
I don't know.
And in this country, she helps liaison between Moldova and here. And they work non-stop. If you're not on a Facebook, the Orphan's Hands Facebook page, you ought to be on it. Because what that does, that gives you daily information about what we're doing. I promise you, you can spend hours going back over the pages. When they have a birthday, these kids never had birthdays until they met me. Totally ignored, not important. And for them to have a birthday for their own, and we have hundreds of people that like and wish them a happy birthday, making up for all the years that they never once had a birthday, never had a cake. And we spend a lot of money on cakes and balloons, believe you me. Every time we've got almost 50 kids now, and when they all have a birthday, it's a big deal. So check out on that. And this is Natalie. She was on the park bench, and we took the kids to one of our homes, and we asked them questions, and we said, have you any questions? And this little girl put her hand up, and I says, yeah. She says, I have a mother, but I don't have a father. Can I come to this house? I says, yes, you can. Any more questions? The little hand went up again. Then I looked at Chrissy and I said, I think she's coming. And she did. And anointed of God, she speaks marvelously. And she happened to marry my son. So Andrew, you have a reaching away above himself. This is it. This is the best thing Andrew ever did. I'm telling you now, it's been downhill ever since. No. Come back here. You testify.
Oh dear. It's good to be with you guys again. I might need one too. I don't like this celebration. And the reason being is I shared with you guys last time, and some of you that you know, you might not remember, but when I was in the orphanage, I used to sing, believe it or not. If I sang now, all of you would leave the building. So I'm not going to do that anymore. But I used to sing, and every time on Mother's Day would have a celebration where I would go with my teacher and I would sing to all the moms in the city that the orphanage was in. And I remember I would be so nervous, and the teacher would just come and give me a hug, and she would say, just close your eyes if you get really nervous, and just imagine that in the audience your mom is sitting and she's really proud of you. and just sing as if you were singing to your mom. And that's what I would do year after year all the time. I just close my eyes and imagine that in the audience was my mom and she was proud of me and that she loved me. I was put in an orphanage when I was 7 years old, and the reason being was because when I was 4, my mom became blind from an accident. And after the accident, she completely disattached herself from me. And growing up in the orphanage was not easy. We had so many, questions. Why do we have to live a life that we did? And a lot of the times, we'd have people that would come to our orphanage and tell us about the love of God. And then they would leave and we would go back to our rooms cold and hungry. And we would wonder, who is this God and what is love? We lived with so many empty promises that people would come and adopt us, take us away, and then they would never come back. And I remember when Philip and Chrissy Cameron came to my orphanage and they told us about the girls' homes that they built for girls just like us. And to be honest, I didn't believe them until the first night I slept in my own bed. And I remember for years, I used to question, why were we born? I used to question, what's the purpose of me being alive? And a lot of the nights, I would go to bed and wish that I would never wake up again. And there are things that some of us will never share. There are things that we're going to take with us to the grave. There are hurts and pains. But what I come to understand is that we serve a mighty God. And we might not understand everything we are going through. But my prayer is that I understand God's call on my life and what He wants me to do with the story that He has given us. And I just want to encourage you to stop trying to figure out everything. Stop trying to figure out, why stuff happened. It happened. Just make better choices in the future and try following God's plan for your life. And I'm just amazed, at how people respond to what we do. We couldn't do what we do if it wasn't for people just like you. We couldn't go where we are going if it wasn't for people supporting us. And yes, there are hurting people everywhere in the world, here in the US too, even though this is the most blessed country in the world. But us as the body of Christ, we have to reach out to those people, to the people that we don't agree with, to the people that don't walk the same way as we do. And we still have to love them because after all, love is the only way that we are going to reach people with. That's what happened to me. It's not people that spoke greatly. It's people that actually loved me, that has changed my life. It's the women, my spiritual moms, that lifted me up, that believe in me, that have been moms to me more than my own mom. And my mother-in-law, she is not here today, but she is the reason why all of us are here on this stage. She is the reason why there is a ministry. She is the glue to our family. And I'm thankful for mighty women of God like her. So thank you.
She was in the orphanage one day. Every Saturday, Dasha and Natalie would go to a gate in the orphanage and hope their mums would come and see them. Year after year, they never came. And we go back to the room, and without Jesus, not knowing about God, Dasha would want to give up and die. And Natalie, she said this, she says, I didn't know how to help her because there was no God knows, God understands. It was just the raw reality of 2 orphan kids whose moms had let them down another Saturday and another Saturday. And it's too wet, it's too cold. She might not have the money for the bus. She might have to work. How many excuses can you make for 7 blessed years, for crying out loud? And one day she was in the orphanage and her heart jumped because she saw her mom. And she went to see her mom, and when she got close enough, her mom wasn't there to see her. Her mom was with her boyfriend, seeing his kids, giving them shoes. And that's the heartache we encounter. That's the pain. It was Valentina's birth mother and father that died, and our second adoptive mother and father that died. A little brother born, this couple was childless and ended up having this little boy late in life. She was 42, I believe. And the father died when the baby was 9 months old, the little brother, and the mother had to work just insanely with no social help. And she ended up dying. And Valentina was left to tell her little brother, Mom's not coming home anymore. And she met a lady that knew of us, and she says, if you go to this place, 5 hours by bus, if you go to this place, they may take you in. It's a Cameron family. And she knocked on our door. I happened to be in Moldova at the time with Chrissy, and she came in the saddest pain I've ever seen in my life, because before she came, she'd have let her brother go to someone else. And I'm happy to tell you, he's now back in all of our lives. His name is Andre, and there he is. Isn't that cool? And so the miracle of miracles is that these kids that have been broken by their family have gone back. Natalie has helped. She makes jewelry at the back, and monies that she gets, she's helped rebuild her mom, give her mom a bathroom. Her home didn't have indoor plumbing, and Natalie worked for ages selling keychains to give her mom a bathroom. Dasha's just done the same thing. Her mom, and these two are cousins. Her mom had abandoned her for 9 years, and then her mom did, and Dasha has been putting money home and has fixed up their house. Sugar, her brother, who they wanted to separate them, and her brother would not let her go. And he now lives in a tiny house in Ukraine. And she supports him by painting. She and Valentina paint, and so does Nadia. And they paint. The paintings are back there. And the money they get, they support the families that they were broken by sometimes. Sugar's brother, just a few weeks ago, this woman showed up at his door with 2 little kids. It was his mom. Hadn't seen or heard from her in years, 9, 10 years. And she says, hey, take these. I don't want them either. And she left the 2 kids with her brother and walked away again. You all are spoiled. You get mad because you got a long way to the restaurant today for lunch. Still love me? I'm going to talk to you just now, for the very first time I've ever done, about the biggest and most exciting challenge we've ever had. We have 6 houses in Moldova. Since I was here last, we have a home in the Ukraine. Ukraine is where the girls are taken from Chisinau. They put them to the Ukraine, get them fake papers, and then ship them around the world. I was coming to Atlanta, and the immigration guy stopped us and says, where have you been? I says, we've been in Moldova. He says, Moldova? Man, that's weird. He says, I've just been shipped up from the Caribbean. And we intercepted a 40-foot container, and there was 38 Moldovan girls in it. Sent from Ukraine in the Black Sea, Odessa. 30, 40 days in a black container, just with whatever was in whatever food, and no toilet facilities. And they found them in the Caribbean. And we opened a house in response to that cry. I have 13 girls today waiting to come in and don't have space. A pastor contacted us in the Ukraine and says, I've got 6 orphan boys in my home. They had nowhere to go when they left the orphanage, and I don't know what to do, and I've got no money. Please take me under the Orphan Hands umbrella. And we can't do it right now because we don't have the money. And on top of all this, more kids are coming to us, and our homes are all full, and we don't know what to do. And I was offered something that is so ridiculous and so miraculous at the same time that I know it's God. It is the biggest, scariest thing I've ever done. While I was in the Ukraine, a man drove up in a blizzard to see me from Moldova, and he says, we have something we would like to offer you to buy. And I says, yes, sir. He says, it was sold a couple of years ago for $1.2 million. And the organization that bought it has been unable to pay for it. And we are prepared to give it to you for half price, $600,000. This isn't a house, it's a village. And this is the contract. And Nadia goes home this week with a signed contract to make this happen. We need such a crazy miracle just to begin the contract. We've got to have $30,000, $20,000 commission for the agent that arranged it for us, and $10,000 for the first down payment. And we're paying $10,000 a month for 36 months and then have a balloon payment at the end. And the Lord has challenged me to believe God for this village. The village's name is called Vatra, V-A-T-R-A, Vatra. I said, what does Vatra mean? And Vatra means hearth. To a girl that has never had a mom and never had a dad, these homes are going to be their home and their hearth. And I want you to watch this video, and then I'll come back. Pray. Moldova is a nation in a desperate place, torn between the East and the West, stuck between yesterday and tomorrow. It has the highest alcoholism rate in the world and has been voted the unhappiest place on earth. Poverty and alcohol is a deadly mix. It breaks the home. It causes unimaginable suffering. It creates orphans. Children are abandoned as their parents go abroad to find work. Often they never come back, and children become another statistic in a land of loss. From the orphanage or poverty-stricken village, it is a short step to the arms of the trafficker and the life of unspeakable hell. Standing on street corners anywhere in the world, being sold as much as 30 to 50 times a day. Once a girl is broken, she won't fight back. Lost in a world of shame, pain, drugs, and violence, each girl can earn their captor $300,000 a year. Trafficking is more profitable than drugs. Yet in the midst of this sorrow, a miracle is taking place. Orphans are finding hope through the work of the orphans' hands. They are finding their broken hearts healed by God's love, and hope is turning into action. These amazing kids, once redeemed, have an unstoppable desire to help those who have been left behind. They have become missionaries to those who are what they once were. We are growing. We desperately need more space. We've been praying and God has given an answer. Vatra Village. 6 homes that will hold 90 kids. Vatra means hearth, a place of warmth and comfort, something most of these kids have never known. These beautiful homes are not yet completed, but by God's grace, they will be the hearth in the heart of many kids who today are alone. In these rooms, care and love, hope and healing will transform pain into purpose and loss into life. Standing a few hundred feet from Moldova's largest lake, Vatra was sold for over $1 million just a few years ago. Today, it has been offered to the orphans' hands for the miraculous price of $600,000. The owners know what we do. They want us to help the youth of their nation.
Just think, for what 2 captured girls earn in the hell of trafficking, we can buy Vatra Village, a place of hope to save countless lives. Will you help us save these broken lives from cold street corners and offer them a hearth, a home? Thank you.
Amen. We have begun today. This is our first time talking about it. It is so big. It is terrifying. It is so exciting. I can't sleep at night. It works out at $100,000 a home. Pat Schatzline, I talked to him the other day. He says, Philip, our ministry is going to sponsor one of these homes. We're going to make it an I Am Remnant house. And unless someone can jump up right now and give $600,000, this is going to be done by everyone giving a little bit towards it. Everyone sacrificing a little bit. And I just want you to pray about this. I want this church as a body to pray about this. Can you help us change these? How much would you think these kids in the front row are worth? What do you think sugar's worth standing on a street corner somewhere being sold 30 to 50 times a day? Your kids, if they'd got a hold of your daughter at 16 years of age, how much could you raise to stop them if you could buy her back? Do you think they're worth less than your daughter or your granddaughter? 13 girls in Ukraine. This is not for the Ukraine. This is for the problems we're facing and the amount we need in Moldova. That's a different situation, a different issue. But there are 13 girls right now wondering if they could have a place to stay in the orphans' hands. 6 boys. This is how the Lord's been challenging me to do this. We've got to pay this in the next 3 years. If 300 people could give $2,000 in 3 years, this would be taken care of. And I want to challenge you to pray about that. Ask the Lord to speak to your heart. Whatever you give, whether it's $10 or $1,000 or $100, whatever you give today in the offering, this is where it's going to go. She goes home this week and we've got to send money with her. And I'll be frank, we've had a lot of expense and we don't have the money in our ministry today to do it. But how many know that God has the money in His kingdom? But how many understand to get it in the kingdom, He uses people to get it through? So we just ask you in the name of Jesus to pray about this. Pray about this, not just now, but think about it. Go home and pray about it. And I believe that this church could be a real mainstay. The church that put the windows in that orphanage where Nadia and Natalie and Dasha came from was this size and had a storefront, and we're believing God for a church. And they are now in the most gorgeous church, packed to the walls you could ever imagine. The Refuge Church. Do you know Jay Stewart up in Concord? An amazing church. And they made that step of faith and God honored it for them. So please pray about that. Come up here, Nat. Will you help me? We have cards this morning. It just says this. You can change your life for $1 a day. The support of these kids. There's 13 girls in Moldova. In Ukraine, rather. We can rent a bigger building if we had more funds. We could supply the food for them if we had more money. And that comes on a monthly commitment from people, giving $1 a day. And the girls have got the cards. If you'd like to be a part of our family, if you want to join this crazy crew to change the world, just say, well, listen, it's worth the price of a can of Coke or less than the price of a can of Coke every day. So just put your hand up. They have the cards. And you can, in fact, if you take one and you're close enough, you give them a hug while you're doing it. Just say, I'll be your mom for the day, or I'll be your dad for the day. Sugar, we're watching you. We're hoping that no young men take a card, if you would, please. We don't want that we don't want any young guys, come over here and I'll take a card. That would be terrible. Valentina, we're believing God for a husband for you, sister. Do you know the pain and trouble I get myself in when I do this? It's a cold day. In fact, it's not so bad today because immediately after the service, Philip's driving the girls back to Montgomery, and Andrew and I are leaving right away to drive to Branson, Missouri. We are on Jim Baker's board, and we have a board meeting tomorrow. So I'll be in Branson tonight by the grace of God. But anyone else will help us and say, I'll be a part of this. Take that card if you would. Fill it out as clear as possible. Valentina, you've missed someone over here. He's not a young guy, but he's, you know. You missed another one. Valentina, Philip, when you take them back to Montgomery, she does not eat today, okay? No food for Valentina. Oh my goodness. Anyone else? The worst thing when you're a missionary is for someone to have not been served a card that might help you pay for food in next month. So as long as you're, take this card if you would and sign it, fill it out, whatever the Lord leads you to do, and give it back to the girls at the table, and they'll give you a book. Dasha wrote this book by herself. She came up, she says, Dad, how can I help? I says, I don't know, how can you help? She says, I can write a book. I says, you can? She says, I can try. And try she did, and it is an amazing testimony book of lives that have been changed through the orphan's hands. So when you pass your card back, you get a book free from us. And if a Scotsman gives you something free, take it. That's a fib the Irish say, I'm telling you now. So get those afterwards. The paintings afterwards, the girls, this is what Valentina and Nadia and Sugar support their families with. There's some gorgeous ones out there of elephants that I just saw today. And you make what?
Jewelry.
She makes jewelry. It's actually jewelry, but to her it's jewelry. Like a judge and jury or a bunch of Jews. She's lost the L in there somewhere.
You taught me English. This is as good as...
Oh, I know why you're here. We just got brand new T-shirts made this week, and we are so proud of them. This is the one we had last year. It's for the deaf girls' home we have, and that says in the sign language, if you're born, God has a plan. This one here is just revelation to us, and it was my idea. So it says together, but what else does it say? To get her. And when you buy one of these T-shirts, you are helping us get her out of trafficking. 13 girls in Ukraine have nowhere to go. And the only thing that's stopping me from saving them is money to rent a bigger house. So get all you kids, go and get this T-shirt here. And this one here is amazing as well. It says, my friends are being trafficked. And all of these girls know girls that have been trafficked. And it's a tremendous conversation starter. What does that mean? We support an organization that stops trafficking amongst young women. And we met some of these girls. So get those afterwards. Thank you so much. Natalie, just before you go, come back here, darling. You normally say one other thing.
What? Hold on. I say so many things. I don't remember. Oh, yeah. Ladies, we do take credit cards. Husbands, today is Mother's Day, so make sure to let your lady come and shop with us. It's for a good cause. And we need to feed Valentina, so.
You need to feed Valentina. I hope she never heard you, my darling. I'll tell you what, or you'll be in trouble. How many will promise right now to pray about Vatra? Will you do that? Write this down. We've got to find this money. The quicker we find the money, the less we have to pay for it, because we pay interest on this thing. And I just know in my heart that there's a Gideon army of people that can say, we can sacrifice $2,000 over the next 2 years, 3 years. And by doing so, as long as I know you're there, I can have confidence to keep on going. You understand what I'm saying? But whatever you give today, you are making miracles happen at the orphan's hands. And we love you so much. And we loved coming back here today. Thank you so much. Pastor, God bless you. Please hug my girls. Please hug my girls after church, will you?
All right, let's show one more time how much we appreciated this. Thank you so much, Philip, for being here. And this was just wonderful. Y'all go ahead and stand up this morning if you would. This is what I want us to do today as we close out. I just want to thank Brother Philip for coming, him and his team. And, they were here with us last year on Mother's Day, and I'm just reminded again as I sat there, when they come here, all I do is cry. I just sat here and just cried the whole time when they were sharing. And, I guess for several reasons. One, it just reminds me of how blessed we are. Aren't you thankful you're blessed? I mean, we got it made. Doesn't mean you don't have challenges and struggles. Everybody goes through them in life, but really we are blessed. We are blessed. And it's just heartbreaking to hear about all these things. And these are, this is one place, and what I love about all the different ministries and things that God does is God just comes and He graces you. He puts His hand upon people to carry forth missions and ministries that God's called them to. I mean, the Lord He's graced me to serve as a pastor. It's a grace from God that He gives you to do that. And Philip was a successful person. You heard him when he was 37 years old. God touched his heart. But you know what He did? He entrusted him and his family to carry forth this. He's been doing it for many years. Why? Because the grace of God is released on his life to do this. He's called to do this. And God's grace is upon your life for you to do things that God has called you. It also spurs us to action in everything that we do in obedience. That when we respond to what God calls us to do, there's blessing in that. And then we fulfill a bigger call that's to impacting the kingdom of heaven. So I'm just so delighted that we're able to help in this ministry. This is one that you can see is definitely doing something to impact the kingdom. And last year, we started being some of those monthly supporters last year. Been doing it a year, and when I'm so blessed to say this is one ministry we know is going to good ground. And so you can sign up for that today if you want to. Many different ways you can help from today. I know you're going to pray. We're all going to pray for this and believe God that they're going to get this village at Voltra, and it'll be just great. When you leave today, if you want to give an offering to go towards this, there's some ushers in the back. You can give cash, you can give check. If you've got a credit card, see someone there at the information booth. Matt, our drummer, is going to be helping out with that today. One of our drummers, he's going to be helping out with the credit card, so you can give that way. If you go out to their table out there, they've got means where you can just give straight to the Orphan's Hand Ministry. You can purchase some of these t-shirts, jewelry, and all the paintings and all the things out there. So lots of different ways that you can help. But I want them to, you'll just play and sing if you would. And there may be many different things you want to do today. Maybe you want to go hug somebody. Maybe your mom's here today. You want to go hug them, tell them you love them. You can do that. Maybe you need to just come to the altar today because God's touched your heart. You're feeling a tug for Him to respond in obedience to Him. Maybe you want to do that. Maybe you want to go hug somebody, or you just want to go out and just begin fellowshipping and getting engaged with this team here in this ministry. But if you need prayer today, if you just need somebody to pray with you, minister you today, we're going to have people to help minister to you today. So would you just lift your hands up this morning and just thank you all so much for being here. I just want to declare the blessing of the Lord over you. May the Lord bless you, and may the Lord keep you. May the Lord make His face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up His countenance upon you and give you peace. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers. Hope y'all have an awesome day in the Lord.